This is Inside the Story. Real stories, real context. What actually happened. Jake Paul arrived in Miami surrounded by the usual noise. The headlines, the doubts, the questions about whether he truly belongs at boxing's highest level. But away from the cameras and the chaos, there's something, or rather someone, playing a quiet but powerful role in his comeback. And that's where this story really begins. Jake Paul is no longer just a YouTuber who boxes. Over the past few years, he's turned himself into one of the most talked about and most profitable figures in modern boxing. Since turning professional, he claims to have earned over $160 million from the sport. His fight with Mike Tyson alone reportedly brought in around $40 million. Now, he's preparing for one of the biggest tests of his career, a fight against former heavyweight world champion Anthony Joshua. But this moment didn't come easily. In 2023, Jake Paul suffered the first real setback of his boxing career, a defeat to Tommy Fury. It wasn't just a loss on the record. It was a blow to his confidence, his momentum, and the narrative around him. And according to Paul himself, that was one of the hardest periods of his life. That's when Jutta Leerdam entered the picture. Leerdam isn't a celebrity influencer. She isn't from boxing. She comes from one of the most demanding sports in the world, Olympic speed skating. Born in the Netherlands, she rose through a system where perfection is expected, not celebrated. At the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, she won silver in the 1,000 meters. Since then, she's added world titles and continued to compete at the very top. In her world, races are decided by fractions of a second. There's no trash talk, no shortcuts, just discipline, repetition, and mental strength. When their relationship became public in 2023, many people didn't understand it. A polarizing American boxer and a Dutch Olympic athlete felt like an unlikely pairing. But behind the scenes, the connection made sense. Paul has spoken openly about how Leerdam helped him reset after the Fury loss. Not with hype, but with perspective. She understood what it meant to lose on a global stage. She understood pressure, and she understood how to rebuild. Their lives are rarely in the same place. Leerdam trains mainly in the Netherlands. Paul is based in Puerto Rico, where he runs his boxing camps and business ventures. They've spent long periods more than 4,000 miles apart, managing schedules, time zones, and elite-level preparation. In 2024, Paul proposed to Leerdam during a trip to St. Lucia. Later, he admitted that proposing made him more nervous than any fight he'd ever had. Since then, both have spoken about balancing love with ambition. Leerdam's profile has grown massively. She now has millions of followers across Instagram and TikTok, rare for a winter sports athlete. Paul's world remains defined by scale, boxing, promotions, endorsements, and constant attention. But as he prepares to face Anthony Joshua, one thing is clear. Leerdam may not be in the ring on fight night, but her influence is there. For a fighter whose career has often thrived on noise, controversy, and bravado, that quiet, disciplined presence could be his most powerful weapon yet. And that's the story behind Jake Paul's comeback. And this is why stories are never just about what happens in the ring, on the pitch, or on the screen. Behind every headline, there's context. Behind every comeback, there's a reason. This wasn't just a story about Jake Paul. It was about preparation, pressure, and the people who matter when the cameras are off. If you want real stories, explained with clarity, not noise, this is Inside the Story. Subscribe for more deep dives, breaking moments, and the truth